Ça fait 5 ans que j'habite en France et j'ai jamais vraiment compris pourquoi le Tour de France passionne autant les Français. Mais cette année, j'ai eu de la chance parce qu'une étape est passée juste à côté de chez moi. Du coup, j'ai décidé d'aller voir ça de mes propres yeux et surtout, j'ai pu découvrir la fameuse caravane du Tour. Dans cette vidéo, je vous raconte en anglais, bien entendu, mon expérience et surtout, je vous montre tout ce que j'ai réussi à attraper sur le passage de la caravane. So this video is a little story time, and if you just want to hear my story, that's great. But if you are also here because you want to improve your English, then you should go ahead and download the free PDF from the description, where you'll find all of the irregular past tense verbs that I'm going to use today, some useful vocabulary for talking about the Tour de France, and a comprehension quiz. Look, I like to ride my bike. I can ride a bike. And I have even done a few bike trips, but to be honest, my knowledge of competitive cycling is basically zero. But since I've been living in France, I've definitely felt this kind of energy every summer when the Tour de France is on. I can kind of see that it seems to occupy like a special place in the minds of French people. So I feel like I've become a little bit more interested in it every year. And this year it was coming to my city in Toulouse. So I thought, why not get into it, go down a rabbit hole and learn everything about the Tour de France. I was looking up all of the front runners, learning all of their names like Pogacar, Vingegaard. I saw Ben Healy in the first week of the tour, and I started to hear little whispers about a so-called caravan. And that's when I really started to get interested. So of course, on the day, in true Tour de France style, I rode my bike there. I found the perfect spot where I thought there wouldn't be too many people, and then the caravan started to arrive. Boy, was I surprised, impressed, I don't know. So for anyone who doesn't know, the caravan comes before the cyclists. It's like a procession of vehicles of random companies, like companies who have nothing to do with cycling, and they just pump music, they get everyone excited.
Salut! On est toujours à Toulouse ou on est à Blagnac ici? Voilà, madame, on est fous. On fait les foufous un peu.
And they throw little freebies. You kind of have to jump around and wave your hands, which is fine for me because I have no shame. I kind of set this goal for myself to just get as much random stuff as possible, which random stuff I did get. We will go through that at the end. Now, I'd never heard of this before, and now knowing what I know, I cannot believe that this is not a more well-known part of the Tour de France. It was so funny. Like, some of these vehicles are hilarious. My favorite one, I think, was a man in a quad bike, which was made up in a kind of like paper mache washing liquid thing. One of my other favorites was the leak, like a car, but it's like a leak. Ridiculous. I had such a good time. What a weird experience. So strange, so absurd. When it had finished after about 20 minutes, I don't know, I felt like kind of in a trance, like I couldn't believe what had just happened. But then it was time to wait for the cyclists. But there is about an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half between the caravan and the cyclists. So I had a bit of a break. And then found a nice new shady spot to watch the cyclists as they went past.
Okay, we're here.
So it was actually quite overwhelming to see just how many cyclists there are in the peloton. When you see them all together, you really appreciate how difficult, I guess, it is to ride in a group of that size and the kind of strategy you would need to use to kind of break out of it. All of these things were going through my mind, and that was pretty much it. So I rode my little bike home. Okay, I'm back. I feel like that was so much fun. I really want to go again. And so I started to think, can I go again? And it didn't take me long to see that there was another stage coming up a few days later, close to where I live. Interesting. All I needed was to take a quick train ride, meet them in the middle, more or less. Should I take a train to catch it one more time? So I went again. I got on the train. arrived at the station, I met up with some friends, and we walked to find a nice little place to see that caravan. So this time, I knew what to expect. I was ready. I had my strategy. And I think I was quite successful. You'll see when I show you my haul. And one thing that I have to say about the caravan is how ridiculous, but also like sad and funny it is that grown people, grown men, grown women, they turn into savages. Snatching things from kids or like, kind of fighting over a keychain, running on the road in front of cars to get a bucket hat, like just very strange behavior, a little bit hysterical. So the second caravan was all over. It was time to wait for the riders. And, these days in the 21st century, there's no mystery. You can literally track them on the app. So you know when they're coming. You can sit on the floor and wait for them to come and see exactly where they are. So again, the riders came. But again, it was so fast because where we were, it was still quite flat. So the peloton was really all together. There weren't any clear leaders or any breakaway riders. Yeah, it was, again, over in a flash. But at least on this day, I was so happy to have seen the yellow jersey. So that was my experience this year, going to see the Tour de France 2 times, twice even. But I know why you're really here. I know what you want. You want to see what I got. Let's do it. Now, before I start this, I just want to say that I do not endorse any of these brands. Obviously, I have these things because somebody threw them at my head and I picked them up. All right, the first thing I got, which kind of set the tone. What is this? Yes. Well, it's a shopping bag. But it's not just any shopping bag because it rolls up into a little pool ball. 13, love that. Okay, second, let's have a look at the hat. How many hats did I get? I got 4 hats. So let's see. Okay, so of course there are the bucket hats. Chris. I have to say, I don't know what Chris does, but if someone knows, tell me in the comments. This one, so cute. Nice little bucket hat. But I have to say, it's pretty thin material. I don't think that would really protect you from the UV rays. Yeah, so I think it was made definitely on a budget. These ears are definitely undersized for a panda. I think a panda should have slightly bigger ears to look like in proportion. So this hat, which, you know what? It's actually pretty cool. I think this hat is not bad. This is my fave. Look at this little cycling cap that I got from La Vache qui Rit. Kind of low-key stylish, apart from like the cow on it, but okay. All right, what's next? Extra. Qui ne lave pas n'est pas extra. Qui ne lave pas est dégueulasse en fait, mais bon. Okay, we've got a sample of extra washing liquid. Yeah, another ridiculous thing, like the guy on the mic. I remember he was like, La lessive! And everyone was like, yeah! Like, what kind of alternative universe is this? Look, I'm very grateful that we live in a society where we do have washing liquid and soap, fantastic. But yeah, I don't really often see people screaming and cheering for washing liquids. So thank you, Extra. What else? You know what? This is useful. A fan. I often do get asked what this is called in English, and it is a fan. We only have one word for ventilateur, éventail. Yeah, it's a fan. And before anybody says in the comments, how do you know? Let me tell you this. Let me tell you. Never in my life have I had a misunderstanding about whether I was referring to a fan or a fan. Yeah, it's just context. I guess you could call this a hand fan, another one an electric fan. Trust me, doesn't matter. It's a fan. Useful. Okay. Oh, I love this one. A pen. I use these pens. I do use these pens. So I thought this one was quite good. Okay, now we're getting to some of my favorite. I got a packet of pasta from Panzani. I heard the words Levez les mains pour Panzani. Panzani! It's just so ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? And I have to say, the Panzani cars, I swear to you, they smelt like pesto. I don't know what they did. They have some kind of pesto humidifier. So weird. Yes, we got some Haribo. I have to be honest, I did actually get 3 other packets, but I've eaten them because I'm a pig. Le Gaulois. I think these were also some of my favorite trucks, vehicles. They had, again, these like paper mache giant boxes of like cordon bleu and chicken. It was so weird, so strange. So what have I got here? I've got a cute little magnet with a chicken, and it's a bottle opener. Thank you, we like that. Useful. Also one of my faves. It's a Basic Fit backpack. So if you're not fortunate enough to be one of the 60 million French people who has a Basic Fit backpack, like myself, then you can put a keyring of a Basic Fit backpack on your backpack, which I'm really proud of. This last item, I have to say, I'm so proud of this. This is my favorite item. I can't wait to show it to you. Now, people who watch this channel already know what I think of Orangina. You can see it in this video here. But I was so proud of myself that I went out, I held my hand out, I grabbed onto the can, I clung onto it, and the lovely lady, she let go. And she gifted me with this beautiful tiny can of Orangina. All right. So that was everything that I got. My one complaint is this. I really, really wanted to get a polka dot bucket hat first, of course, and a polka dot t-shirt. And I feel like maybe the Caravan only throws out the polka dot shirts and hats in the mountain stages, because I don't think they ever threw them out. And I was really disappointed because I love those crazy, weird polka dot hats and shirts. I know that the polka dot jersey is very much revered in France. Everyone loves and respects the person who is wearing the polka dot jersey. In English, we call that person the king of the mountains, if you will. Yeah, so who made them this year? Was it Intermarché? If you're watching this, please, I would love one. Maybe next year. What did I think overall? You might have already noticed, but the thing that really made the biggest impression on me was the Caravan. And I have to say, it's such a stroke of marketing genius because, for example, if you're going to go and see the Tour de France, especially if you're not in the mountains, the cyclists, they can't pass so quickly. It's sort of like over before you know it. But the Caravan, first of all, it really stretches out the experience. It's totally weird and crazy. And so it kind of like gives you this fun experience that you associate with it and like you want to go again. So it's definitely a genius marketing idea. But it's also like, it's interesting. As I said, I didn't know anything about this part of the Tour de France. And I was kind of surprised actually to see this kind of thing in France because it's so capitalistic, which I don't really associate with France. But then at the same time, it is very French because it's kind of like 90s capitalism, you know, like these paper mache things of like a big Orangina bottle and like a giant Basic Fit backpack. So I kind of found that in a way like, I don't know, just fun. It was almost like a primary school dress-up parade or something, which was also just a lot of fun. Maybe a little bit wasteful, but you know, a lot of this stuff is actually quite useful, especially the pasta. Yeah, and to be honest, if I now imagine like going to the Tour de France without the Caravan, it feels like it wouldn't be quite as fun. But then if I think about the Caravan without the Tour de France, it's kind of like a dystopian weird experience where people are like yelling and cheering for Total Energy and Basic Fit like, ouais, la lessive. That's also strange. Yeah, so I guess the two kind of have to go together. I'm also super interested to hear about your experiences at the Tour de France this year. Leave a comment, use the past tense to tell me about your experience seeing the Tour de France this year or maybe previously. Don't forget that you can download a free PDF from the description where you can practice the irregular past tense verbs that I used in this video, plus a comprehension quiz. And yeah, I'll just leave you with this quote. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And that's courtesy of my mum's wall. It's a bit of a live, laugh, love situation. Yeah. Well, bye.